think there's a job out there for everybody, and some people don't realize that it's there and they get stuck. I like the different careers that people can have. I think it's a wonderful thing. So keep it up, George.
Hello, welcome to the Career Curious podcast. I'm your host, George Roots, and I'm joined today by Derek Miller, a superintendent in the industrial construction space. He's also a union worker, which makes our first union worker here. Hello, Derek.
How you doing, George?
Not bad, not bad. Can you tell me more about what does a superintendent do? And is there something specific about being in the industrial construction space that's different for different, I guess, superintendents?
Yeah. So I started out as a steam fitter in a local 440. I went through a 5-year apprenticeship. And then once I topped out, I became a journeyman. And through being a journeyman and working on jobs is how you then become a foreman. And I've made my way up to I run all the manpower and jobs that my company does out at Rolls-Royce. We do the industrial side, whereas a lot of construction is new construction. It could be remodels, but this is just happens to be industrial work, which deals more with a lot of plants, factories, just in that era, not, like hospital work or a building, stuff like that.
Gotcha. So, how long did you say you've been doing this?
26 years.
26 years. Do you remember how you got started?
It was joining the apprenticeship. I went and applied to be an apprentice and I got in, became a first year. And, at that point, you don't really know if you're ever going to run work. You don't know really what your compass of life is. And through the apprenticeship, you learn what you like, what you don't like. I happen to have done a lot of foundry work. A lot of the industrial is what most of my career was. That's how I kind of started running work. A lot of times you'll be a tier one foreman who's about the lowest foreman there is. And there's normally a superintendent that will give you a couple of guys, some information, and you have a little section on a big project. And then once you do that for a while, you work your way up, come a tier two where you might have a couple section with a couple foremen under you, and then there's a general foreman and superintendent. And as a superintendent, I deal a lot with the project management side. So me and a PM, the project manager, together, we bid a lot of work. We help out with the billings. I'm in charge of the manpower and I run the jobs that we are doing.
Absolutely. That sounds remarkably close to kind of what I do. I work with the PM as well, and we kind of figure out what the work is going to be. But I'm also curious, like if someone weren't in this space, you said two things that really caught my attention. You said a pipe fitter. I'm not sure if everyone knows what a pipe fitter is, and that's one of your ways in. But you also said an apprenticeship. Could someone today just become an apprentice? How would they start that process?
Well, right now is the easiest way ever to become an apprentice. We have some of the biggest jobs going in Indiana that we have ever had. When I started in 1998, if there was a $20 million job in Indiana, that was a massive job. That was building a building downtown, multiple stories, just crazy. Right now we have billion-dollar projects going on in Indiana. We have a battery plant up north in Kokomo that was several $1 billion. Methodist Hospital downtown is several $1 billion. It's the largest hospital being constructed in the United States right now. And then Lilly is getting ready to build their medical facilities out in Lebanon, which I think that job is like up to 20 some $billion. So with that being said, right now we have such a need for manpower that we are taking in the most amount of apprentices we have ever done in the history of 440.
Oh wow! You say 440? Is that your company or is that the union?
Yeah, local 440, plumbers and steam fitters is who I work out of, and then I work for North Mechanical Contracting. But, when North needs manpower, they call the hall, local 440, and say, "Hey, we need 4 guys." And then the hall puts on our job line where any journeyman can call in and find out who needs work, and then we bid on it. And if we're the ones that get it, then we go work for North.
So an apprentice would join the 440.
Yeah, so, what they do is they go down to local 440, they apply to be an apprentice, and once a year, we take apprentices in. Now we also will take people in that have prior experience, and those people we place. So a lot of times if somebody has 5 years experience in a non-union sector, we will bring them in, evaluate them, and anywhere from a 3rd to a 5th year, because it's a 5-year apprenticeship, they will be placed, and then they immediately come in and start taking classes.
Gotcha. Also, there's classes involved. So I guess like training.
Yeah, so when I say a 5-year apprenticeship, you go to work, and then right now, since we're taking so many people in, we had to restructure how our apprenticeship is. So when I went through, and most people went through, it was twice a week after work that you would go to the hall and you would take classes, whether it was a science class, a math class, rigging, steam and pumps, plumbing code. There's tons of classes we take, and we spend 3 hours a night testing, reading, learning, whatever that class is. Now, since, when I went through, there was roughly, I think there was like 60 kids in my first year apprenticeship class. This year, our first years that we took in was 160.
Wow.
So it's growing, and we need more. We're about 2,000 man people short of what we're going to need this time next year to fill all the spots on jobs.
So I guess if I were interested, like it sounds like you need manpower, but is there a career there?
Oh, definitely there's a career. I mean, getting in the apprenticeship's your first step. And when you become a first year, that's when your eyes are not open to having a career. You most of the time you're out of high school and you just want to make money. But what you'll learn is, we have a pension, we have a 401k, we have health insurance, eye, dental. I mean, it's hard work, and you do work outside, and sometimes you work inside. But as a superintendent, I make 56.22 an hour. I also have truck, a gas card, paid holidays, vacation, sick time. So, you start adding all that up, and with the money we make, I mean, it is definitely a career.
Absolutely. So I guess to that point, like it's definitely a career. And I'm still speaking from my own sort of ignorance because I don't have much contact or much understanding of unions. If someone else is like me and doesn't have much information around unions, are unions a good thing, or do you advocate for them? Are they what help make it a career?
In my opinion, it is. A lot of times people, what they don't know about the union scares them. They think, oh, you got to pay union dues. They take your money. No, that's not true. I mean, we do pay union dues, but that's to run our facilities. And if you look at, I think my quarterly dues are like $54. You know, you look at that versus what I make a year. I mean, it's pocket change, you know? And if you don't want to pay dues, that's fine. You don't have, no one ever tells you have to be in the union, but it's a brotherhood. We try to do what's right. It's like any company. Not everything we do you'll like, but there's things we do that you will like, and every company it's different. There's processes and procedures that, whether you work for Lilly or you work for Allison's or Rolls Royce, I mean, you're not going to always like everything, but for me, there's not much. I mean, it's, I've seen where somebody was sick, or, somebody had surgery, and we pass a hat and, you know, give them X amount of dollars just to help out. That's what people do. you know? So, I mean, it's definitely, if you're willing to come to work and learn, man, you can have a career and always be able to, feed your family, go places, buy clothes, do whatever, I mean, you're not gonna live in $1 million house, but you're gonna have a decent house.
That is excellent. I think a lot of people. I think that's one reason why I'm creating the podcast so that people can see these opportunities out there that without someone like you in their network, they wouldn't have access to all this information. Which I would have never known that unions are that they take care of you like that if I hadn't known you.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, really, and there's a lot of people, they don't know that and they don't understand it, because every union's different too, I mean, in the past, there's been unions out there that they do give bad names, people have, a bad rap, but, you know, for us, if you don't work, you don't show up to work, you don't have a job. You will get laid off. You'll go back to the hall and the business agents and managers will get on to you. And if that keeps becoming a problem, they will address it. You know, just because you're in a union doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. We have a job to do, and that's what we do.
Does the local 440 have competition? Like, for example, if someone doesn't like the union that they're in because it's not advantageous to whatever it is they want to do they have options or do they need to like move to a different location?
So, all the plumbers and steam fitters, which local 440 is plumbers, steam fitters, and HVAC, we are all part of what's called the United Associates. And that is every state in the United States has multiple unions in them. 440, our jurisdiction is Kokomo, Columbus. We go all the way out to Richmond. And then there's Evansville, there's South Bend. There's several different unions all across the United States, and they are all have the base same thing on how they're ran, and it's all through the UA. The UA is in charge of every local, and then every local has business manager and business agents that run that specific local. Like with this manpower issue we have right now, we have calls out to all the other unions in the United States saying, "Hey, we need travelers. We need them to come here." And there's guys that pack up their RV and they drive to Indiana and they work, because not every state has work.
I can tell I'm gonna have to have you back on for a follow up because I have so many more questions, and I think this gets into the weeds. But I think it's also a wonderful introduction into kind of like one, do union work? Two, what do you do with a 440? I think three, that there's an opportunity for different careers. But like, I wouldn't mind having you on for another episode so we can actually get into some of the weeds of like journeyman, the path to foreman, what does a traveler look like, and things like that. So there's just so much content here, and I don't think I realized how much was there. So I think that means that we should do a episode two, if you're open to it.
Oh, I'll help you. You know, in order for us to get stronger, we need people. And the more we can get our name out there, like, hey, not everybody wants to go to college and have what is known as a standard degree. They don't want to be a pharmacist. They don't want to be a lawyer. They don't want to be, a teacher. And this is that job where you can make a living, you can have health insurance, you can have a retirement, and you do go to school, but you also work. You make money as you're doing it. It's the 5 years is hard. But once you get over that 5 years and your school's out of the way, that's when you really start dedicating to, hey, do I want to be a foreman? There's guys that don't want to be foreman. There's guys that just want to show up to work, get material, get tools. You tell them where to go, what to do, and they do it and they build shit.
Absolutely. So I guess I'll keep it light because I know that we're going to do a follow-up podcast. What is something that you've done recently that you're proud of?
So my role gets mundane because I've done it so long. I don't really touch much tools anymore. Back when I did touch tools, you would be proud of stuff you built, because As a human, it's I can tangible, I can see it. Man, we just built that. Look at it. It's awesome. As a superintendent, I would say I help develop people that work for me. A particular case is I have a guy that I wasn't sure if he was going to be a fitter. I wasn't sure a plumber, what his kind of niche was, but I got him welding and he's really good at it. Figuring out what people are good at to help them excel, which in the long run helps me, that's something I'm kind of proud of, putting people in the right spot.
I think that's what any good manager should aspire to do. But of course, I'm a people person manager, so I'm going to always love that aspect of watching people grow where they didn't know one, they didn't know where they're going to grow, but two, then they're able to achieve something. So I almost get achievement from watching other people achieve. What's next for you career wise or for someone in your role career wise? Like, I know that you go from apprentice to journeyman to foreman and then perhaps to superintendent. Is there anything after that? Is there anything that like you'd aspire to? Is there like another level?
There's always different levels, like with computers and technology coming out. There's people now that are doing a lot of BIM work. And, I'm a superintendent, I run manpower, but I also have an option if I want to work from the house and do drawings. We have a lot of guys in our local that are starting to go that route. They're starting to draw from the house, do spools, send stuff into the fab shop. And these companies that are all in 440, they're hiring these guys and it's different, it's a totally different mindsets. It's something different that I do, you know. So I mean, there's all kinds of avenues. There's some superintendents that go into the shop and become project managers. That's something I'm not too interested in because, I'm getting ready to turn 50. 62 is when I can retire. And that would be a new career. That would be a different career. I don't want to spend the next 5 years relearning something. I like an easy button at this age.
Gotcha, absolutely. Uh, what does a union do to increase or to verify like diversity or inclusion?
We don't have to verify. When people come and want to be in the union, and we need them, they're in. I mean, we have all sorts of female, male, I mean, just all different kind of, races and everything in the union. We don't look at it any one way or another. It's based on who you are and what you want to get out of the union. If you want to be a superintendent and you have the drive, I guarantee you at some company you will be. And they don't look at it as like, oh, he can't or she can't. She's a woman. I know plenty of foremen that are women that are better than some foremen that are men.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was asking too, more so than like race or any of the other questions. Whereas like even in engineering, I always see like less women participation. And I'm always curious, like, what are companies doing to either increase that participation or make it like a safe space so that you know that if I do try, there is an opportunity to grow and learn. And I just didn't know if
Well, actually, the UA really works hard at it. Every year they have like 440, they have a big convention and it's the women in trade and it's across the United States. They all meet in one spot. I think we sent 4 or 5 women out of 440 to it this year. And it's from every state, every local, the women, they go and it's to learn to celebrate, see how one local does it. That helps, might help another local, to shine the spotlight on, hey, man, these women are helping us. They're here. The UA is a very big supporter of it. You know, like I said, man, they don't, being in the union, we don't tell nobody no. I mean, if you're willing to put forth the effort and try and work hard, I'm telling you, you're in.
All right. One last question for you, Derek, before I try to wrap it up for us. Are there any careers that you are curious about? It doesn't have to be in your field, doesn't have to be in any given space. Blank slate. What careers would you want to know about?
I'd say astronomy.
Nice.
Yeah. I like how things work, and that's part of the reason I do what I do is problem solver. Being in the industrial side of things, I get a lot of phone calls, and it's like, Derek, this line's down. We're losing X amount of dollars a minute. We need it up and running. And I've never seen what that press or whatever that hydraulic press does. And it's like, okay, line's down. What's it do? And we work. There's been times we've worked around the clock, and there's times 5 minutes we fix it. But astronomy and I would say how it works and all that, that's something I'd be interested in. That'd be cool.
We'll see if I can find someone that can help explain that curiosity. All right. That's all the questions I have for you, Derek. Do you have any questions for me?
No, just keep it up, man. I think there's a job out there for everybody, and some people don't realize that it's there and they get stuck. Highlighting the different careers that people can have, I think, is a wonderful thing. So keep it up, George.
Well, I appreciate your time, Derek. And I'm sure we'll have you on again because there's so much more I want to ask you.
Hey, no problem, man. And like I said, whenever you need it, let me know.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is Career Curious.